Hey, what's up guys? What's up people out there in YouTube world? It's Juan Pablo, your mentor, the people's mentor. Just checking in with you beautiful people out there. Just want to discuss how to use business credit for buying multifamily properties. Sounds exciting, right? So I'm going to show you some of the tips and tricks to the trade that I've used and still am using to getting multifamily properties, like small apartment buildings or even large apartment buildings. I'm about to show you a little tip to the trade. So I'm gonna just make it short, sweet. This is some of the stuff I share with my coaching with my students, either the group coaching or the one-on-one. But I'm gonna share a little bit with you guys. All right, so this is the model you need to follow. Okay, when finding a multifamily property that you can use business credit with. All right, this also works for private money or whoever you want to buy out someone or a home equity line of credit, whatever the debt is. This is the model you should follow, but for this scenario, for this particular video, is business credit. Alright, so what you want to do is you want to buy a property with at least 20% built-in equity, own it for about a year's time, and do a cash out refinance and pay off the business credit card. And I'll say that again with some illustrations. Let's say you have a 5-unit apartment building for $100,000, right? Let's say the appraised value. Let's say the appraised value is $100,000. That's how much it is for a 5-unit apartment building, okay? Now, the purchase price, let's say you're purchasing it for $80,000. So you have $20K in equity at closing. Okay, that's what you try to do. It can be a little difficult to get 20% built-in equity, but if you get like up to 15% or even 10%, it's still good because you can still force the appreciation by increasing the rents if you buy a distressed multifamily or a multifamily that's not properly managed, meaning they have tenants living there who's not paying rent. So what do? You kick them out and you put some paying tenants in there. Or you got some tenants in there that's paying below rent. What do? Now you're not going to kick them out, you're just going to give them a rent increase letter. But if they don't want to do that, you kick them out. You give them time, alright? So you can do that. It's just your management style. You increase the rents or you decrease the expenses. You might be able to do some energy conservation kits to reduce some of the expenses. But either way, you're increasing the NOI, the net operating income, and you're increasing the value of the property. Okay? So what you try to do, again, is buy with at least 20% built-in equity, and in this illustration we have 20K right there. So the appraised value is $100,000. You get it on the contract to purchase it at $80,000. What do you do next? After you do all of your due diligence, that's another video which we also provide you with coaching on that. So you do your due diligence, you do the inspection, deal with contractors, all that good stuff, which we explain in the coaching. Now it's time to close. The entity formation, if you're using partners, limited partnerships, all that good stuff. So it's time to close. You have to come up with a down payment. And you also have to come up with the mortgage to cover the $80,000, right? So if you go with a mortgage company, they can do anywhere from a 20% down payment to 30% down payment. So if the purchase price is $80,000, our down payment will be 20% of $80,000, which is $16,000, and the mortgage will cover 80% of $80,000, which is $64,000. Okay? So I hope you're following the math. If not, watch this video over and over and over, and email me some questions if you have them. Okay? All right. So 16,000 plus. Am I stuttering? I'm like. 16,000 plus 64,000 equals 80,000. Okay? So where do you get the 16,000? Where do you get the 16,000? From the business credit card. Biz credit. Business credit card. So this is where you get it. And this is what I call, my friends, my money team. I'm gonna show the back because I want you to see my numbers. Being that this is gonna be on the internet, I don't know how clever these people are, but you gotta have a team of homies. I call them my homeboys. My homies that got my back when I need them. And guess what? The great thing about them is, unlike partners, They don't have no say-so. They do whatever I tell them to do. And I can pay them off and just keep all the cash for myself, you know? But so you get the $16,000 through business credit cards. Business credit cards. In which you can convert to cash, which I also instruct people how to convert credit into cash at 100%finance.com. I do it through the coaching, do it through ebooks, and just check it out. Check out the website. And the $64,000 you get through a mortgage. All right. The thing is, when you use business credit cards, they give you a 0% introductory APR. And I'm only talking about the business credit card companies that I work with. Okay. And if you're interested, we're going to talk about that, about applying in a few moments. But it's at the website, 100% Finance. So they give you 0% interest APR for 6 to 12 billing cycles. So for 6 to about 12 months, you get 0% interest. You're just paying the minimum payment. Okay? So what you have to do for the right model is you got to make sure that the rent you receive minus all the expenses, such as taxes, such as insurance, such as maintenance, property management if you don't do it yourself, maintaining the yards, the grounds, all that good stuff, expenses, minus the debt service. Debt service is the debt that you borrow to service the note or the property. Just changing the camera angle. Okay, hopefully it looks right. So debt service is these two items right here. Since you use debt for the down payment via business credit card and use debt in regard to a mortgage, so you have to subtract both of those payments, your monthly mortgage payment and your monthly minimum credit card payment. Okay, so you got to know your monthly minimum credit card payment up front. How to use that? Go to bankrate.com and call the credit card that you have and ask them about if I max this card out, let's say the card is $20,000 or $16,000 in this scenario. If I max this card out for $16,000, what would my minimum payment be calculated as? You can call the credit card company and ask. Or you say, how do you calculate the minimum payment? They say, oh, it's 1% of the balance plus interest. That's like what most credit cards use for computing their minimum payment. And you can calculate it yourself. Just go to bankrate.com and do that, okay? So again, it's the gross rent you receive from all the units. Again, in this example, it's a 5-unit apartment building. So it's all rents for the 5 units, assuming it's 100% occupied. And the way you use this model is you get Section 8 tenants. Why you get Section 8 tenants? Because the rent is guaranteed. If you're using this business model and you're highly leveraged with debt, which can be a con for some, it could be risky, just putting that disclaimer out there, you want to make sure your rent is guaranteed, that it is collected and deposited in your business checking account on the 1st of every month. You do that by getting all Section 8 tenants. And they pay market rent. You increase the rents. Okay? The only downside to the Section 8 tenants, they do inspections, make you do all these repairs, but it's worth it, especially if you're investing in certain classes like C-class neighborhoods, which I normally invest in C-class neighborhoods with distressed properties. Alright? So with the distress, you can add value to it and increase the value, the appraised value. So it's the gross rents minus the expenses minus the debt service, and it has to leave you with a monthly profit. Okay? That's pi for profit. So you got to make sure the rent minus this equals a profit. So, as you know, with the business credit card, when it has the 0% introductory APR, guess what? That's good news for you because your minimum payment's less. But once that APR, that introductory APR expires within 6 to 12 billing cycles and the interest rate goes up to 24%, your minimum payment will shoot up. So you might be paying maybe $300 a month in minimum payments for your business credit card. And then after 12 months, it shoots up to $600. So that can really eat up your cash flow. So that's why you got to know these things up front. I always say this over and over, but it's one of the billionaire principles. Evaluate all consequences up front. Know your exit strategy. Know what that interest rate is after the introductory APR expires, and ask the credit card company or do your research on bankrate.com to find out what the minimum payment will be once that introductory APR expires. So let's say it expires for a year, okay? In 12 months. So you have a profit every month for 12 months. So in 12 months or 6 to 12 months, you can do something called a cash out refinance, where a mortgage company will give you 80% of the appraised value. What's the appraised value in our scenario, class? It is $100,000. So they'll give you 80% in this. So let's say we bought this in 2015, okay? Now let's say in 2016, the appraised value, let's say it is, let's say it is still $100,000. Even though it could be more, because within a year's time, you pay down the mortgage. You know, you paid towards, the mortgage payment included principal and interest. So you did pay down some of the debt, some principal reduction. And you probably increased the rents during that time. You probably decreased the expenses during that time. So the appraised value can be more than $100,000. But we're just going to keep the math simple and keep it at 100, okay? I'll just give you some real life situations that could occur. So the appraised value is $100,000. So when you do a refi, so I'm going to say a cash out refi. I know it all looks like one word, but I have a little space here. They'll give you 80% of the appraised value. So that's $80,000. Oh, but guess what? You already have a previous mortgage of $64,000. So what they'll do is they'll subtract the previous mortgage. I'm just going to put mort for short, of $64,000. Okay? And that leaves you with a cash out of $16,000. But guess what? You borrowed a down payment of $16,000 up here. So guess what a smart investor would do? Being that this money that they used, which was debt for the down payment, was borrowed from a credit card or from a private lender or from a partner or whatever they got the source from, a home equity line of credit, they want to pay that off. So you take the 16 from the cash out refinance and you go ahead and pay it off on the card. And of course the balance went down as well because you were making a minimum payment every month. That with the principal and interest. But we're just keeping the math easy here, okay? So you paid off that $16,000. So now, sorry, I put 64. My mistake. You pay off the $16,000 right here. So this is now zero. So you're just paying one debt service now, which is just the mortgage, the new mortgage. So your new mortgage now went up a little bit. But guess what? It went up, but you increased the rents, you decreased the expenses. It's amortized over a longer period of time. So it will actually be cheaper than what you're paying.